Hey bronies, it's me, it's Clayton. You might be wondering why I'm in a new location. Well, my family's on a trip to Yosemite for one of our last weeks of the summer, so I had to check out this episode via live stream. The times are a changeling. So, let's get to the story. The story is that Spike, Starlight Glimmer, and Twilight Sparkle all return to the Crystal Empire to have a visit with Sunburst, Flurry Heart, Princess Cadance, and Shining Armor. You know, typical stuff. But, unfortunately, there's a changeling spy in the Crystal Empire, and considering what happened in the Canterlot wedding, everyone's on alert. That is until Spike manages to find the changeling named Thorax, and he figures out that Thorax just wants to be loved, and he doesn't want to be, just stuck with the prejudice that changelings have been given ever since the changelings invaded Canterlot and almost cost Equestria all of their love. So, Spike has to help Thorax. He has to help Thorax try to make friends with the ponies, and he has to try to satiate his hunger for love, because since changelings feed on love, he's really starving. So, this episode does feature the typical have a friend that everyone hates story, where the friend disguises who he is, and then he reveals himself in front of everybody, and everyone hates him, and then the friend he has to defend him. It's a story that's been used in cartoons for ages and ages. But because I'm a genre-savvy adult, I could see the cliches coming from a mile away. My point is, the story is honestly very predictable. But that doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if the episode itself is fun to watch. And is it fun to watch? Yeah, I felt it was. Thorax himself actually made for a pretty cool character, because in a similar fashion to the episodes in the Fire Nation from Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's an episode that shows that not every single changeling is a complete love-sucking monster. There are some decent changelings out there, and even though we don't know any others other than Thorax, I have a theory. Since the changelings gravitate towards Queen Chrysalis and see her as their mother, my guess is similar to what the First Order does to its stormtroopers. I have a feeling that all the changelings are sort of brainwashed from a very young age by Queen Chrysalis, and Thorax, I guess, just got lucky and didn't get brainwashed entirely. He got brainwashed enough to end up in the invasion, but not enough so that he couldn't change. But that's just a theory. Most of the vocal performances I really did like. I mean, of course, Cathy Weseluck is always a treat as Spike, but the returning duties of Andrew Francis and Britt McKillop as Shining Armor and Princess Cadance do a great job as well. And even though she's only used very sparingly, Kelly Sheridan does a good job as the very controversial love her or hate her character that is Starlight Glimmer. Unfortunately, like I said, Starlight's given a very minimal role. It almost seems like the show is aware of how much the fans venomously despise Starlight Glimmer and everything she represents, so on the few times where she does appear, she's only given very minor roles. You could say the same for Sunburst. You could kind of cut them out of the episode entirely and nothing would be lost. My only other really major gripe is the ending. Not the ending itself. The ending itself is very heartfelt, and I do like what they did with it. It's just, this type of story is naturally supposed to end with the friend that everyone hates being accepted. But the acceptance is handled in a very quick way. It's very rushed. Basically, what happens is that Thorax is discovered, the guards hate him, they try to chase him down, then Spike convinces him to come back, then Spike sings a song, which is a very good song, but still a short song nonetheless, and then he's immediately forgiven. And I'm thinking, couldn't they have spent a little more time getting to know him before having everyone acknowledge, oh no, we were being a racist? What I'm saying is, prejudice like this doesn't just go away like by singing a tiny little song like you're in Frozen. It takes time and careful thought. And it takes a lot of time being with another person who's different from you. I should know. I mean, since this episode deals with prejudice, and that could be dealt with in real life, for me to be friends with someone who's of a race that's not white, I had to really understand them, know them, and get to understand why they are who they are and why I am who I am. I understand you only have 22 minutes to get that message across, but it could have been handled better. But with that said, the episode is still a fairly entertaining ride. Thorax is a very sympathetic character, and in my opinion, even though the prejudice on display might have been a tiny bit over the top, it was justified considering how Shining Armor and Cadence were treated by the Changelings. Let's face it, if my wedding was invaded by a bunch of creatures who wanted to suck all the love out of everyone and who wanted to terrorize our nation, I'd pretty much have my suspicions about every single changeling I've met. So, even though maybe the prejudice could have been a tiny bit more subtle, it is ultimately handled well, in my opinion. I mean, this is My Little Pony, not Zootopia. Though a crossover between the two might be interesting. Now, the song itself, I think it's called A Changeling Can Change, really showcases Cathy Weseluck's singing talents. I love the harmonies, I love the lyrics, and even though it's a tiny bit repetitive, it really gets across the message that we're all one people united by our shared humanity, and that our race doesn't decide who we are, we do. So, that's overall my thoughts on the episode. It has a good story, a good song, a great new character, and hopefully we'll have more changelings other than Thorax that'll be allies. And it might have a very limited use of Starlight Glimmer and a rushed ending, but other than that, I liked it. So I give The Times Are a Changeling an 8 out of 10. See you guys next week.